All right, stream started.
Did it? Oh man.
Jeez, like
Damn.
you don't even like give me a hug or a kiss, like say good. Hey, how was your day? You just fucking start the stream like that cold.
That's right.
Guess what? Guess
Saturday
what
night,
I learned
cold
today.
open?
Guess what I learned today.
Oh, this was fast, Adam. You didn't even build up the tension here.
There's no tension to build up. Just the fact that you didn't know what yellow journalism was.
Oh my god!
Who didn't know what yellow journalism was?
I've never heard that term until today.
Did you never take a history class in your life?
That's exactly what Adam said, and I have, and I just never heard that term. Apparently, I didn't study Teddy Roosevelt enough, is what I'm gathering.
Oh my god!
Wow!
I gotta write a strongly worded letter to every educational institution you ever attended.
I thought you were gonna just be like to every educational institution.
That'd be a lot.
This fully grown adult human male passed through the system.
That's just a travesty, a nightmare. I can't with that right now.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's important that we all know about it publicly, and anyone else who listens can now mock me for it while secretly being like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that either."
I don't think anybody's like.
But yeah, fuck that guy.
That's true.
At some point during the show, I'll have to get up and let Natalie in. Just FYI.
Okay. Make sure you make lots of noise.
I will attempt to make as much noise as possible.
Bang on, bang on stuff, riddle through your, bits box, all that good stuff.
Yes, I will do so.
If you have soup,
if you have soup,
slurp it.
I'm not building or painting anything, so
So we don't have Danny for that today.
So I'll just
let's put it this way:
crack my knuckles. Is that what you're saying?
Can you hear this?
No.
Okay, there you go.
Is that your soul dying because you have a kid now?
It's my soul dying when I'm now suddenly realizing how many orcs I have to convert.
Yep.
Convert to what?
Sucker.
I know. I was telling Adam, I was like, oh my god, I've made a huge mistake. I am now the guy in the comic where he's like, I see you alone in an apartment.
What do you have
so
to
many
convert
converted models? Part of the trade. So Danny and I traded.
Yeah.
I traded back the allegiance. He gave me a bunch of orcs, but in addition to the orcs, he gave me a bunch of trollbloods from Wormhordes.
Okay.
And they're good to convert to orcs, but dear God, that is a lot of work. That is what I was told.
John's answer is the best.
That is what the man said when I bought it, sweetie. That's what the man said.
Oh, you got a lemon.
Did I lie?
You got the lemon.
Well, they're good. Let's put it this way: they'll be decent proxies as I build them.
No.
Don't we have
in league games, John? In friendly cavortings.
Oh my God,
Judge.
You know we do have a lemon law.
A lemon law? Oh, we do.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could.
The only way I ask for any kind of vengeance or justice is every game at LVO that Daniel plays, just give him a card. every game he plays.
So good. Did anything have anything to add to the show notes?
No.
If you looked at them.
No.
I'm looking at it right
I briefly did.
Okay. I think it'll just mainly be.
Maybe we should talk about trade deals.
Bad trade deals.
This has been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals.
I'm
the worst trade deal in the history of 40K.
And I'm gonna do such a good job converting, John. You're not even gonna know.
I'll
be like,
know.
wow,
we'll
look
know.
at those cool
know.
orc models, friend. And I'll be like, no, bro, they're actually Wormhorde models that I converted. And you'll be like, oh my god, that is so cool.
All right, are we gonna start
It's
this
orcs,
thing?
so
Or
you don't have to do much. I thought we did.
Yeah,
But
I thought you were recording.
We are, but Adam has to
I have to officially start the start.
us. All right, Adam, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, welcome for another episode of TFG Radio. Today we have a full house. We have the 3 LVO judges and a dude named Tom.
Hi.
So, god damn it. So,
Gotta make everything weird, guy. Like every time, man.
Well, it was either that or I was gonna do
weird.
I was gonna do the Butters like, oh hey fellers, like I don't know. I was going for one of the two.
I think I would have accepted that over the weirdness.
Yeah, if you could only speak like Butters, that would actually be a benefit here.
No.
To
No,
society.
John's like, no, and actually no.
My word for the day is apparently going to be no.
So we're already practicing for LVO.
I'm always practicing for LVO. No.
So
No.
So let's quickly jump into it. For those that don't know, we do have the night challenge. What that is we have a list. I don't know if we put it up yet.
I did. I put it up.
Okay, so we have a list. Everyone has use the same list. The same house, correct?
Yep. Identical in every way.
It's almost like a what they used to have. At least I used to play video games, like a champions match, or
Right. Yeah.
where you play with the same loadout, and you just have to win the tournament basically with that same loadout.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did it once at. Didn't they do it at War Games Con? Where everyone played the same army.
Yeah, that was the. Oh man, I played in that event. That was fun. Yeah, everybody has the same basic list, except we chose a different Chaos Lord. They were all the same points, but you chose like one was on a bike and one was on jump pack, and yeah.
How was that?
That was a lot of fun.
I know that was like
enjoyed
5th edition or something.
Yeah, it was 5th edition.
Huh? Did they provide the models?
Nope, you had to bring your own.
Oh, okay.
But that was,
I mean,
that
I don't
was
know.
cool. I mean,
Maybe
it was
someone
only
wanna try it.
1,500 points.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big deal.
You know, the one thing
1,500
I'll say I
points
missed of War Machine was there was like, I can only remember the name, but there was like this like alternative format where you basically have everyone just kind of brings their armies and puts them out, and then you just basically do like a roulette wheel essentially for what caster you get, and then take whatever army is kind of suited for that you can out of what's available, and you just and every game you do that, right? And it's just it was I mean, it's very, very dumb, but it was very, very fun because that's how you built an army out of whatever faction you wanted, but your warcaster or warlock was random, so you could get characters who can never work with other units in the normal game, and all of a sudden it's just the most like fucking either useless or OP shit possible. It was great.
Yeah, maybe we should try that one day, or not. I don't know. I'm sure. I don't know how people would react to that.
Can't really do it the same way in 40k because there's no like central figure or central model that really makes your army work one way or the other.
Yeah, I guess.
Although we could do it with like random
his
HQ
name
choices.
Is Gilliman.
Could you imagine Gilliman in a Tau army if he worked for Tau?
God.
Oh man, it would be so broke, and John would die of triggering. It would be the first documented case of a triggered death.
Either that or G-Man if he actually worked just on a Castellan.
Oh wow!
All right, so on that note,
we had an
I
RTT.
put the note on the I put the list up on Danny's screen, so when Danny's talking about his time, the list will be up there.
Okay.
Wow, that's so cool and awesome, John. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
All right, so we had an RTT this weekend. We actually had 24 players attending.
Yeah, it was a good turnout.
And it was the first tournament for the new guy running it. Danny was there with his knights.
Indeed.
I was there with my army. When for the RTTs, I more or less play the ringer if we have an odd number, so that we have an even number to start. And then if people drop off, then I also drop. So I was able to play round one. I was able to get one of my league games in also.
And tie, nonetheless.
And tie because my
Collusion.
opponent had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's later in the episode.
Whoa.
Adam drugged him.
Adam drugged him, yes. I gave him an open glass of water. I Bill Cosby'd him.
And the Chaos Lords and the Bleebles and the Blabbles and the...
Yeah.
So
could work on that one.
Yeah,
so
that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm just moving on. I'm not even
Yeah,
acknowledging. I may actually
No,
cut it out of the
that failure of that level, it deserves acknowledgement.
Eh,
Yeah.
that's
This
true.
is like the Simpsons line where they're on the Japanese game show. In America, you reward knowledge. In Japan, we punish ignorance.
So Danny, why don't you Why don't you tell us about your day since you actually played 3 games?
Yes, I did. So game one was against local cat John Michael, who also plays knights, and he usually brings a Porphyrion, but this time he had a House Raven of a Preceptor, 4 or 5 Armiger Helverins, the shooty kind, and then a Castellan. And the game, I got to go first, which really helped. I shot my Gallant right at his Castellan, forcing his Castellan to have to kill it and spend CPs to do the full Raven thing. And then I really just focused on doing chip damage to the Preceptor, but more just killing the Helverin so I could get a kill each turn, and then finished off the Preceptor pretty quickly. He was about to charge my Valiant. He's like, "Ooh, I don't want to eat that Overwatch with the super soaker." And then he also remembered. He's like, "Maybe I'll do it." He's like, and I was nice. I was like, "Remember, I'm Hawkshroud," and he's like, "Oh." Because the Castellan was right there. It's like, I don't think I want to eat both of their Overwatch when I only have like 10 wounds left.
Yeah, nope. Definitely
Yeah,
not.
so,
Danny, why don't you go over your list really quick?
So it's all one super heavy detachment, Hawkshroud, a Valiant with I like to call it the Super Soaker, the Trader's Pyre conflagration cannon. So same thing, but rerolls wounds and auto hits 3d6, strength 7, -2 AP, 2 damage. And I love the Valiant for the Poon, which only happened once in the entire tournament, but God, it was so great. Let's see, 2 Warglaves.
And you usually take Iron Bulwark on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Castellan, and a Gallant. Okay. And so it's 2 Dominus classes, one Gallant, and then 2 Warglaves.
And
I think
the Gallant has the missile launcher on top, right? The Iron rocket launcher.
Yeah, the out of LOS one.
Yeah, 72 inches.
Which actually was really clutch in 2 out of my 3 games of kind of keeping me in it, of just like, I mean, over the course of the game, it would get me like a kill because it would, kill a couple guys one turn, kill a couple guys the next turn, last turn before it died or the game was over, killed, basically wiped the squad. So it was like, okay, that's, I'll take that for like 16 points, right?
Yeah, it's fairly cheap now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I keep trying to work on all my night lists. It's harder. I almost think it's better to like drop the mortar squads from my individual infantry squads and then add one of those because it's 16 points for 15.
Yeah, I don't like the mortar squads in the mortar team in the actual squad, because I think the purpose of those guardsmen is to hold objectives and hide, or rush forward and try to get objectives, right? Or soak a charge somewhere, right? So like, why would you pay the points for the mortar when you could just have maybe save up enough to get an actual heavy weapons team to sit on a objective out of line of sight and just have a clear job for them to do, right?
Or if you can't save up enough for that, you just put the Iron Pod because it's really good with much better range.
Yeah, few people target the Gallant immediately just because it's like, oh fuck, there's a Castellan, fuck, there's a Valiant, right? So you're gonna get a couple turns of life out of it for it to shoot, and it still moves far enough that it's gonna be able to shoot, charge, do its thing. But yeah, with John Michael, the game ended. It went I tabled him on turn 6. But I only had my Castellan was down to 1 wound, and my Valiant was was only at like 10 wounds. So, but the last 2 turns of the game was my crippled Castellan and my Valiant desperately trying to chase down what was left of his army.
And that's more or less the list for the challenge. For those that don't know, each of us has to play in an RTT using the exact same list and see who does the best with it. So Danny's game 1 was a win, and I was very upset.
Yes.
What was the score?
Do you remember? I want to say, I think
it was like 20-24, wasn't it? Something. You guys were both in the high 20s.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it was like 28 or 29. He was in the 20s as well.
Okay, so not okay.
It wasn't like a super high win. And then my second game was against Pretty Dick from the Veteran Gamers Reenlisted podcast. I have very good luck at drawing him in tournaments, regardless.
Is good luck the term you want to use there, or
I enjoy playing pretty dick, so it's fine, but I do lose pretty consistently. He was playing just an army that's like, just I was surprised it did as well as I did. A chaos army that has the Zangors, 3 bloodletter bombs, Ahriman, a demon prince, the contorted epitome, which is a great tech to put into the list. And yeah, it's really much, and some random cultists and shit. And he played really well. There was a big like building in the center that infantry could go into, because it looks like a building you could actually enter, and there is space to put models. So like and it's in the center of the board, so he gets in there, and all of a sudden he can kind of ignore my Overwatch because he can charge out of LOS to tie me up, and then charge with the things that really want to charge. So that was annoying. But basically, we met in the center. We crushed in. I wiped the Zangors. I killed the epitome. I did as much as I could. I just between the bloodletter bombs and everything, there was just too many bodies for me to really deal with, and so I ended up, constant smites and all of this. So I ended up getting tabled, I think, on turn 5.
Yeah, you actually lasted a fairly long time with that.
Yeah, and I lost 32, 33 to 16. So I was actually surprised I got 16 points out of that.
I was very upset at that, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That seems to be the theme of Adam's
It is.
chat with you here.
Well, I mean, we're doing a
whole challenge.
that actually, yes. I vehemently
Adam was upset by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time
Yeah,
Adam would come to
opposed.
my table, he'd be like, "This is bull." It was like, "We have to use the same list." Yeah, I have to use this list. Yeah, it's like, "This is bullshit. This is a bullshit idea."
I've been very bitter lately.
Really?
Yeah, more bitter than usual.
Oh.
So yeah, I think you got 16 points out of that loss.
Yeah.
So then you moved to round 3.
Round 3, I'm playing against a now teammate Nick
Scolari.
Who is playing a Death Guard army with 60 Poxwalkers, Typhus, Ahriman, 2
Yeah, he
Plagueis
likes the
Crawlers.
Poxwalkers.
Yeah, I mean they were they weren't bad. They did their job. But he had the Devastation Battery with 3 Obliterators. And so I seize on him, so I'm like, hey, okay, this is so far so good. I move my Valiant up to get into range, and I completely forget about Devastation Battery, so he procs it, and the Obliterators proceed then to do 21 of 28 wounds on the Valiant.
What the hell?
Yeah. With my Valiant with the Iron Bulwark Warlord trait, who had a 4+ invul, but didn't fucking matter.
Jesus.
I don't kill the Obliterators. I did manage to kill some cheap squad with I think a Warglaive pop something easy. But yeah, it was wow. I didn't. So his he had one oblit left with 2 wounds in his next turn, which luckily didn't do anything, but it was just it was real bad. He didn't kill anything first turn, so I was actually really I was like, okay, I have a good chance. So I have a good chance at this. He's he didn't get a kill. I have a chance to stay up on the primary, or at least be competitive on the primary. I'm continue to push forward. The Valiant's still alive, goes in, gets to live the dream, kills the stupid fucking last Obliterator, and then poons a Deathburst Crawler, and kills it outright.
Yeah, because it does 10 and then D3
mortals. Yeah, and it was already minorly damaged from a Warglaive, so it was he if he had rolled a little better on his Feel No Pains, then he would have he could have lived, but I think he rolled he failed just enough to die, so it blew up. But then because that fucking Valiant had 1 wound left, he procced He auto exploded the damn thing, which killed my Valiant in the process.
Oh my god. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he does that. He does that a lot.
It's great. I wish I could just auto blow stuff up in any of the armies I play. So like more
That would
power
be
to
great.
him. And then it was just basically my. I think the game went about as you expect. I was just trying to whittle down everything he had and trying to get my Castellan around the center objective, or being the center piece of terrain, to get to his characters and start sniping points, because he had like 8 characters, so I chose Headhunter.
Yeah.
Actually, I probably had like 6. But my Gallant could not break through fast enough, and I tried pulling a play of like chewing through enough of his Poxwalkers so my Helverin would be able to charge Typhus and hopefully at least tie up Typhus or put him down. Don't kill enough Poxwalkers, so my Helverin has to finish them off. Or not Helverin, my Warglaive. Next turn, Gallant goes into Typhus, hits 4 times, wounds 4 times, and dude made 4 4-ups. He just needed to fail 1 for Typhus to die, and nope.
Damn.
And then eventually Gallant died to Smites and Typhus's melee. And I mean, at the end of the game, I had a Warglaive who was camping my backfield objective the entire time. Ended up like single-handedly almost wiping out a Poxwalker unit from just the heavy stubber and the Melt-A-Gun. Just over 6 turns, and then it's just if I'd managed to punch through on, from my perspective, the right flank with my Gallant to get to his characters, or my Castellan was a little bit faster to get to the kind of, because the Castellan was literally into his deployment zone at the end of the game, hunting down units and characters, trying to as best he could. I think I would have pulled it off, but I ended up losing 28-25.
Yeah, it's a high loss. Stupid Danny.
Hearing about that Valiant die, I just thought of the Grim Reaper meme where he's like, "Was I good? No, I'm told you were the best."
He really was, man.
Went out
again. The Poon, man. Like, it's so hard not to chase after it. Of like, I just want to fucking hit with this thing. I just want to kill
I
something
just
with
want to
it.
do a straight 10 damage.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, no, I did hit with it. I think against Pretty Dick, but against like a Zangor unit, where I'm like, cool, I killed 3 guys. Like, I just obliterate one Zangor.
One
and then
guy's
the
like
3
really
mortal
dead.
Poons. Yeah.
yeah. There's a harpoon where Dave used to be. Dave.
Yep.
It'd be funny if he actually made that save.
I know, right?
Just out here
Although I
harpooning
did-
guardsmen to death.
I also did
Well,
get
that's
to
how
live
they
the other
practice.
dream of doing the Oathbreaker missile strat against Nick first turn, and hitting Aramon with it, and then not rolling enough damage to kill him, re-rolling it into the 5 to snipe Aramon off on the top of 1.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was my kill. That was my 1 kill for that turn, was just
wow.
popping Aramon. Yeah, with
And that's like half your command points.
yeah, because you only well
You get 6, you get 9. You're
yeah,
spending.
9, yeah.
And didn't you re-roll it?
Yeah, so I end up spending 4, right? So
Yeah.
it's almost half my damn CP.
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was worth it to kill Aramon, right?
Oh, yeah, but still.
Before he does anything. Yeah, I mean, part of me, what I forgot, although I think I knew those CP elsewhere, then I don't think it would have made too huge of a difference, although it could have, is I should have last standed my Valiant when he died, so he could do another flamer shot before he went out and just mulch, taking a big chunk out of one of the Poxwalker units.
Yeah, because I think that's only two CPs.
Yeah, but it was good. I mean, I actually really enjoyed playing the list. I definitely, especially playing against a Raven Castellan, I was like, God damn, Raven Castellan is so much better.
When you're on the right side of it.
Yeah, when you get to do Order of Companions or whatever and just re-roll every one, because my very first activation with Castellan of the entire tournament, this is actually I think only my second time ever playing a Castellan, of any variety. I proceeded to do 3 wounds to the Preceptor
Mhm.
when I was playing John Michael. It was just
Oh,
rolling
wow.
nothing but ones on amount of shots.
Yep.
Volcano Lance missing. Rolling a 1 on the wound.
Where's your
It's like, yeah.
Emperor now?
Pretty much, I'm like, wow, I see why Raven and I see the magic of this, and I can only imagine when it was 100 points cheaper.
Oh yeah.
And you could just keep regenerating. Actually, I remember being on the receiving end of it a lot when you could keep regenerating those CPs too.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
So Danny's
Those were the days.
1 and 2.
So 1 and 2 is 69 battle points.
There we go. Look at that. So we have to. Everyone else to do at least 1 and 2 and beat 69 battle points.
What if you go?
I'll be really
3,
salty if
but
someone goes 2
70
and.
battle points.
Are we
Nope.
going by battle points or are we going by record?
We're going
think
by
it's
record, tiebreaker,
Yeah, the
be battle
tiebreaker
points.
be battle points. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's
So
right.
all you have to do is go 2 and 1, right? All you have to do is get 2 good matchups.
Oh my god.
All right, I can. Do
I was really hoping because there were other knight players. I'm like, God, let me play the other knight players.
There are a lot of
Played
knights
2
there
fucking
actually.
board control armies. Out of my 3 games, I played 2 fucking board control armies.
Yeah, that's gonna not go well for you.
Well, that's the meta. So
You're gonna have a bad time.
True.
yeah, I really did. Well, no, actually, I had a great time. It was really fun.
No, I know.
Part of it was just like having. It's just something to when you play other things, right? Than your main faction, you're like, man, it'd be really nice if Tyranids just had at least one like gangbuster ass model that you could rely on. Of like, this thing's gonna fuck shit up. And yeah, I don't get that. And so it was nice to feel power of having a Valiant or a Castellan being like, holy fuck, this thing's awesome. Or Gallants. God, I love Gallants.
Gallants are so much fun to use.
I am seriously tempted to, just because it'll be easy on my back, although I know it's a bad list, of doing the triple Gallants and then Magnus Mortirion for Hammer of Wrath.
Oh man.
All right.
How many gallons max could you fit in 2,000 points?
5.
Like 5.
You can fit the
yeah.
full 5 and you still have points.
Nice. Yeah, for upgrades and shit.
It's 352 times 5, so
Mhm.
that's
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah,
8.
it's
Yeah, it's like
1800 or
17.
17,
Yeah,
yeah.
17.
you can only take
1760,
1,760. Yeah.
You can only take 3.
You can only take 3 because of the
The rule
whole,
of 3. Yeah.
you know.
Well, I'll find named character gallants somewhere. I'm
No.
sure Forge World has some bullshit.
No.
No.
No,
only
none of the
character-
None of the knights are cheap, and Forge World
You
are
guys are just
cheap enough
serving
to
up the
slot in.
nose to me tonight. Just serving them up. Chance to say no over and over.
I was looking at some of the Forge World knights, but yeah, none of. I like the ones that have like the 4+ invul to shooting, because then you're like, oh well, I give the value to somebody else the iron bulwark, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not so bad, right? Then you have 2 that always have a 4++, and then you can rotate ions on another one, so you can have 3 of your knights have a 4++ in shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like we're the Knight podcast because all we talk about are knights. We don't talk about
Yeah.
anything else.
I'll talk about. No one wants to hear me talk about Tyranids.
I do, unless you're being mean to me, then I don't.
That's true. No one does want to hear you talk about Tyranids. But we don't play Gene Stealer Cult, but you have to play lots of models. So
Yeah, I just need a break from massive thing. Although there is some slight vindication because of the Australian tournament where a guy playing like 160 Leviathan Termagants went
Yeah.
5-0. I'm like, see, my idea does work. I just can't play that many
Old.
fucking models.
The mind
Yeah.
is willing, but
My
the body
back-
is broken.
Yeah, exactly. My back cannot take that. Even with movement trays. I was hurting so bad after day 1 of fucking Battle for LA.
oh yeah.
My back was just killing me.
So I don't
Yeah,
know who's next one's in July.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's able to go. I'll be
I
there
won't.
most likely.
I don't think I can.
I might
Tom?
be able to swing that one. If not, then you probably
I
will.
think it
Either
falls to
Tom
you,
or
Adam.
Adam's
I
up
think you're the
on
next
deck.
one.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
Well, it'll default Tom just in case he can make it.
You just got to make it super hard for everybody and go 3-0.
I know, right?
Sure.
I was hoping to go in 2-1 just to really piss Adam off.
That
Oh
would-
my god, I thought that was going to happen on the last game.
That might have been
Yeah,
throw in
if
the
you
towel time.
were just hovering
Yeah.
over my goddamn game, if you just weren't hovering over my game, I might have like tried to like slip Nick like $20 and be like, let's just say I won this one, right? Like,
Yeah. There's a
Collusion.
reason. There's a reason I'm hovering over that game.
Collusion.
would have won
Well,
shit. It just would
We
have
have
pissed
collusion
off
over
Adam.
here. See, nobody cares.
I think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's like if you had gone 3-0, I think it would have put a damper on the whole spirit of the night challenge because it'd be like, all right, night challenge, and Danny just went 3-0.
Yeah.
All right, so night challenge is over, guys.
Yeah, night
Seriously,
challenge
right?
over. Game's over, guys.
Yeah.
Taking our ball and I'm going home.
Exactly.
I mean, you could just bow out, I guess, Adam, if you really want.
No.
Well, no, what I'm saying, I'm not allowed.
Damn it, God.
So Tom will be the next one if he can make it. If not, then I'll be the next one to play. I guess in July. So moving from that, in regards to that, because I mentioned earlier I was able to play a league game. We are continuing our league.
Mhm.
I happen to be in pod 1, which is the higher pod. Danny and
The Shark Tank.
basically, well, yeah, considering who I have to play, yes. Danny and Tom are both in pod 2,
Yep.
Oh boy, are we?
and then John was able to weasel his way into pod 3.
Yeah, that was probably a mistake.
Well, so since we'll start with you, John. How are you
Sure.
doing in pod 3?
Well,
How's the hunting grounds in pod 3?
I probably
Are the seals quite fattened?
should have tried harder in pod 2 to stay there than losing all my games playing stupid lists. Because I've started to play like real lists, and it yeah. My last opponent didn't know what a Castellan was. So he didn't. He was like, at the end of the game, he's like, "So is that a Forge World thing?" And I'm like, "No, it's just plastic.
That's models, bro.
It's from Games Workshop. It's just plastic."
Yeah.
And then he didn't. He was like, "Wait, how many shots do Hurricane Bolters get on your Centurions?"
Oh no!
Like 12 each.
Because
And he's like,
he
"Well,
hasn't played.
How many heavy
he hasn't-
bolters?" And I'm like, "Well, there's 2 heavy bolters and they're 3 shots each, so 6 times 5." And I didn't even like open up the full can of paint and put like the exploding 6s on it. I didn't do that at all once. I was just like, you know what? I'm already re-rolling ones to hit because the captain.
Right.
I'm just gonna let this go.
Why don't you explain what your list is?
Yeah, so the list I'm playing, and I actually really like this one, is a Castellan, 2 Hilverans in super heavy detachment, and then it's a Imperial Guard battalion with 3 infantry squads with mortars, a heavy weapon squad with mortars, 2 company commanders, and then a Space Marine Vanguard detachment with a Smash Captain. It's Crimson Fists. Smash Captain, and then the 3 elite choices are Ancient, so that when one of the Centurions dies, they get to shoot on a 4+. Apothecary, so if one gets wounded or one dies, I can bring it back on a 4+, or I can heal a wound. And then the other elite are 2 veterans, which I like to just make engineers and sit on an objective in my zone because that's super easy. And they're not gonna like. What do I care about not shooting bolters? If I'm shooting those veterans bolters, I've lost. And then the heavy support choices are I actually take 2, even though I only had to take 1 as the Centurions. There's 5 Centurions, and then 1 squad of Eliminators, which are actually pretty cool. I like the Eliminators. They're so cool in the first game that I actually primed them and finished painting them today. I had them almost done last night for my game, and then I finished painting them today.
Yeah, the game I played against Ish in our league game, those things did work.
Mhm.
The first round they were terrible, and then after that I was like, oh god, I should have killed those turns ago.
Yeah, they're pretty good when like you couple them with the list will change slightly now that I have my assassins, so I can fit in the Pokeball. But they're really good for you use the missile strat on the Castellan to shoot a character, and it takes them down to like all but 1 wound, and they're really good at finishing off that last wound on that character.
Yeah, I can see that.
So what's your record so far?
My record is 2-0 so far.
Okay.
There's a couple of good players in Pod 3. They're not all like new players. Like the first guy I played, it was like his 5th game of 40K. The guy last night had only played like 7 or 8.
Yeah, he hasn't played since like 5th edition. So everything you just showed him is not 5th edition, 4th edition.
Yeah.
So everything you showed him, like the Centurions, is all brand new to him.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Well, you even if you looked at his basing, right? It was the old like school or like late '80s, early '90s, like pure green flock basing.
Yeah.
Yes, with the green
It's
rims.
Yeah.
Now
Okay,
the models
that meme is
themselves were
fantastic, John. Sorry, I had to interrupt.
the models themselves are beautifully painted. Like yes, they're 3rd, 4th edition paint jobs, but they're beautiful paint jobs.
Yeah.
No, it was a good looking army. But yeah, if you've been around a long time, you're like, yeah, that army's seen some years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
he's playing models we haven't seen on the field in recent years.
Yeah, he had fire dragons and warp spiders.
Didn't he have Howling Banshees too?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
Oh man,
People
he should have
take
started playing in
Howling
7th when
Banshees,
warp spiders were great.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, they were
He's
really
in
good.
addition too late.
Mhm.
So Danny, how are you doing in Pod 2?
I'm actually doing pretty well. I played 4 games so far, and I'm 3-1.
Damn.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I know.
man.
Uh-oh.
Jeez.
Someone's moving up.
I thought I
know,
was pretty
I'm
good
like,
with playing 2 games so far. My goodness.
yeah. Well, I was lucky. I got a double header last night.
Oh, that's right.
But
Oh, that's right. Tell them what list you're taking.
Oh,
well, it's variable. So the list I took last night, where I got 2 wins, was by 2 tablings.
yeah.
was
And I was one of them.
Yes, you were. Was Magnus, Mortarion, both in their own detachments, and then a Chaos Valiant and 2 Chaos Warglaves. That's it. That's the list. Oh no, 3 Warglaves. Excuse me. It's 3 Warglaves and the Valiant, and then Magnus Mortarion. And my first game of the night against another teammate, Nick Lozano. He was playing Pure Space Wolves and had 2 giant 10-man Terminator squads, all with storm shields and a bunch of Thunderhammers and rocket launchers and shit.
Oh, he didn't take all combi plasmas
and
and storm shields?
Yeah, no.
That's pretty popular.
No.
That would have been worse for you.
Yeah. I mean, well, it actually didn't, because I never once got off Death Hex because twice I failed it and twice he
God.
denied it.
Lord. Okay.
Yeah. But I still had enough throughput just of making him roll dice, right? And like the Flamer, I didn't get to reroll wounds, but it's still the fact of like, yeah, take 12 saves and everyone you fail,
Did
is
you
dead,
harpoon a single
right?
Terminator?
No, the
Oh, that'd be
harpoon
great.
missed every shot that
Man,
game.
that would have been so great. Just be
Um,
harpooned a Terminator. Boom, done.
Yeah. Unfortunately not.
How many wounds
but
does
yeah,
it take?
so
10.
yeah.
It takes all of the wounds.
To be fair, I did with my Valiant stomp the Santa Claus without the sled though.
Oh,
Stomped him to
Logan Grimnar.
death in a round of stomped him in 1 round of combat.
Dang,
I survived a charge. I survived charge from him and like 5 Terminators, and they didn't do. I think they did a total like 4 wounds, and then the Valiant put on his dancing shoes and just stomped that fool to death.
Man. Crazy.
Yeah, he failed. He only has a 4, right? So he was, all of a sudden, misses 3 of them, and I start rolling D3s on damage, and
Yep.
That is one of the most frustrating things when you're like, sweet, I got my power melee units in there. They're gonna do some work, and he killed half my unit, and oh my god, he still. Oh no, it's just like it completely falls apart the other direction. Like, cannot tell you how many times that happens with Praetor jet bikes. Oh.
Yeah, so Mortarion still nearly soloed a 10-man squad when I warp timed him in turn 1.
Mortarion is so
just
stupidly
because
good. It's just a
I
good
know.
thing he dies like a
Put on-
bitch.
Yeah.
You gonna play like a bitch.
I put on Blades of Putrefaction, which is +1 to wound, and then every wound roll of a 7 is a mortal wound. And then I do Veterans of the Long War, so I have +2 to wound, so
Mortarion's
it's
like
really-
a mirror image of a Tau Riptide.
yeah.
Puts out a lot of damage, but when you touch it, it dies like a bitch.
He's
Because as soon as you get
he actually
as soon as you get through the Tau's drones, it's the
Yeah.
Riptide's dead. And Mortarion, if it doesn't get all of its buffs up, and you get to do 1 round of shooting at it, it's dead too.
Yeah, no, I mean, T7 with a 4++ and feel no pain can be super resilient if you skew, but it's not.
Yeah.
The shooting in this game is so insane that
Yeah.
Probably not going to survive anything real. And he didn't, believe me. But but I did the full Blades of Putrefaction veterans, and then did the his 18 attacks instead of the power attacks.
Mhm.
So then every 5 and 6 I roll is a mortal wound. I think he ended up doing like 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's like he becomes like a super chain lord. Which now I'm like, man, I need to have Chain Lord and Mortirion in the same army.
Oh
You're
my God.
getting greedy.
Fuck that. I don't care. Somebody has to. But yeah, I had enough durability. At the end of the game, I had a Warglaive and Magnus and Valiant left. So, just mopped up the rest of his army. And then I played Tom and his pure Dark Angel. So there's a theme here of armies I can stomp.
Wow.
And Tom, we were playing what is that? A long table edge.
Hammer
Hammer
and
Anvil. And Tom decides to deploy right on the line with everything. So
I hear that word.
Martyrion first turn just rolls in, obliterates a bike squad, does a bunch of mortal wounds all over the place. Tom cannot kill Martyrion on his turn 1
to save my friggin' life.
Yeah, and then I tabled him top my 2.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
because I had
the rest of my army came up.
Well, because half
Chris.
of my army. Yeah, that's what I kept saying. I was like,
Weak.
the rest of my army was in reserves, and I the thing is that, and when Danny and I talked about it briefly, like we discovered that, or rather, I always knew this, but just hearing someone else articulate it makes me happy. Is I'm not good with aggressive armies where I have to initiate and I control the tempo. I'm much better at playing a reactionary list, which is part of the reason why I think I also really dug Tau, because Tau is they're very much a sit back, let me see what you do, I'm going to respond, I'm going to shoot at you and capitalize on your mistakes. Like I let you go first, I let you make the mistakes.
I think we just learned a lot about Tom's dating life in his 20s too.
Burn, dude.
Couldn't deal with the aggressive ones, huh?
I didn't say
that's just too good.
But don't forget, guys, I'm not the funny one.
No, you're not.
I'm not funny at all.
You're the salty, egotistical one.
Yeah, it's true.
You're not. It's not that you're not funny. You're just not witty.
I'm not witty. That's right. That's what it was. I'm not witty.
Not that you're not funny. There's a difference.
But you do have integrity.
I do have integrity.
No, just integrity.
No, integrity.
No, integrity.
Moving on. So Tom,
anyway,
you already talked about one of your losses.
Well, yeah, that was the only game I played last night. But I also another thing too is like, I deployed on the line like an idiot. I fell into, what was it, dad mode, where it was like I was just so happy I was playing that I wasn't thinking about how to win.
That's a thing, by the way.
It's a thing.
Absolutely.
And like
Dad
now that
mode is
I've
a thing.
experienced it, I'm kind of like realizing people I played against, and I'm slowly turning into them, and I'm like, no.
You need to buy a Plague Bearer Chaos Gym Vessel army right now to try to stop that.
There were a couple of times
No, you don't.
early on where I would just show up to the game store and I wouldn't even play a game. I'd bring my army and just sit there with it. Just to get out of the house.
That's
Man.
Yeah.
It also keeps that routine up, so they don't try to schedule anything on a Tuesday or whatever
that's
night your game night is.
As Daniel's been saying recently, yep, die on that hill.
Yeah.
But you've only played the one league game so far?
I played another league game against Ish. That was when I was running a really super janky character list.
Oh, that's
where
right.
I was running Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and Space Wolves, and just basically hiding behind a screen of scouts, doing bullcrap.
Did he murder you?
He straight up. Well, yeah, he straight up killed me, but not like. But it was more of an overtime thing.
Okay.
And I also
running
made
his
just
3 Sakarans?
He was, which I actually killed 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think maybe I only killed 1, but I was doing okay. But what really screwed me over is, I didn't screen properly, and so as a result of that, he just slowly whittled me away. And he had a Vindicare and the Eliminators, so slowly but surely, I just kept dying, and that was his. Yeah, so he didn't have the Astraeus, he had Gilliman, and Gilliman had probably one of the best orbital bombardments I've ever seen in my life in that game too. He's just like, oh, 5-up character, 4 mortal wounds, and I'm like, are you serious? Like,
Ish likes that stratagem a lot. And his question was this, and he asked me, and I wasn't really sure the answer. Was does the orbital bombardment benefit from Gilliman's reroll?
No, it does not.
Is it a unit?
It's not a shooting attack.
You have to roll to hit. Or well, it doesn't say. I don't think it says. I don't think the stratagem says hit.
Say that. No, he and I talked about it. And
okay.
He does not. You do not get to benefit from Gilliman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the rest of the league, I'm just playing this super fluffy Ravenwing, Deathwing list, which I don't care if I win with it. It's just fun to play, and then I get to use models I never get to use. And then next league, when I'm dropped into Pod 3 because of how terrible I've done, I'll start practicing for SoCal, and I'll do.
I like how everybody waits till Pod 3 to take a hard as nails army.
I know, right?
Well, because you gotta make sure it could beat Pod Pod 3 tier, then Pod 2 tier. Like, you gotta work your way up. It's like okay, now this is GT ready. I've worked my way up this mountain of stairs. Sensei, please notice me.
So apparently I'm taking the opposite approach.
I was going to say I did the opposite. I started at 1 and I'm just like tanking my way down.
Started at the tap. No, I'm here.
You're doing a John. No, but you're going back up though.
I know, but the funny thing is, like, when I was in Pod 1, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play my Tyranids. I need to be in Pod 1 so I can do real heat, test my lists out to the best of my abilities, and just get fucking annihilated. And then it's like, oh well, I'm in Pod 2. Let me fuck around with Chaos and like Bloodthirsters and Magnus Mortarion and fucking Chaos Knights. And it's like, oh, look at that, 3-1. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm taking the same approach where I'm in Pod 1 and I decided to take a jank army in Renegades and Heretics. And so far I'm 0-2-1.
Oh, bad.
So I have so I'm taking the John approach apparently.
Oh, bad.
With considering who I have to play and who I still have to play. So I played 3 games. One of them was against Jonathan Starks, who's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Javetsky,
in which case he's just okay.
But it's just all the fly. It's because I'm playing Renegades, which is basically Imperial Guard with no stratagems. So I'm playing index guard essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all the minuses, it's hard to hit. So with that army, I think when we played our game, it ended up actually being like 32-22 in our league game, which was funny because the large 50-man blobs, one of them survived until turn 6 because the commissar special rule.
Don't they get some kind of like chapter tactic, as it were, or special rule? Like, I haven't even.
They get a covenant. A covenant
That's
of whatever thing, but the one I took for that game was the Slanesh one, which gives me an extra die. So roll an extra die. It's like House Terran. So if I advance, I roll 2 dice, drop the lowest. If I charge, I roll 3 dice and drop the lowest, which actually helped a lot. It helped me get recon and a bonus point.
Well, yeah, it's basically replacing move.
Kind of. The other option, the other good one is Covenant of Tzeentch, which gives me a 5+ Overwatch. So
that gives you a 5+ Overwatch?
Yeah, but I think it's for only with the Covenant, which is basically infantry only. If it worked for the vehicles, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, sure.
So I lost to him. I lost to Nick Scolari. That was actually closer. I think I lost by like 3 or 4 points. That's the game because I take rapiers. And that's the game where I killed 2 Demon Princes and 2 Plagueburst Crawlers. I've one-shotted all four of them over the course of 2 turns.
That's pretty great.
And that's what at least got me made the game close. And then I tied with Danny Javetsky, it's an Imperium list. It's similar to Jeff Robinson's Battle for LA list.
Mm-hmm.
So it's custodes, but it's only the custode tanks with a shield captain and the guy that makes him -1 to hit. guard, and a Castellan.
Yeah.
We ended up a draw. We only went to like turn 4, and then he also had to leave, so I didn't get to play any other games for the RTT. But at least I was able to get a league game in. So I'm actually at 3 for the league game. So I'll probably drop the pod 2, and hopefully, I think that's where my army is more comfortable. I don't have a set army yet. I'm still working on it.
The league is over like July 8th or something, right?
Yeah, but I have to go. But I'm going to take this army to Boise Cup.
No, I know.
Which is why I put the subtitle in our show notes. Adam's quest for the wooden spoon, apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try. I guess I'll try to get the worst score for our podcast.
Oh, you've got to at least win a few games so that you can get a good enough score to overtake Renegades and Heretics for ITC.
I don't know if I could do that with Pure.
You can do it.
We'll see. I mean,
You go to Boise every year, don't
If
you?
you go and you lose your first
I didn't go
4
last year.
games, you should be able to win your 5th game.
The last one.
Yes.
Well, what happens if Alan wants to leave early?
Well, don't let him.
But
Hitchhike back. I don't know.
I was not through the Nevada desert. I'm not.
Yeah.
When is that?
40K or bust.
I know, right? So we'll see. I'm committed to it at least through Boise Cup. We'll see how it goes. Maybe the next league when I drop the pod 2, and see where it goes from there. Because then I'll have my GT and my 2 RTTs see what the score is, or however many RTTs I get to play it in.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, personally, I think you should have to take the challenge army to Boise. But that's just me.
I thought we weren't going to do that.
I know. I'm just saying. I think you should have to, just so you suffer more.
So I can win 2 games instead of just 1.
Hey, yeah, that's true. You might have a better time.
I actually wouldn't mind taking that army to it's not 100 models.
It's true. It's not.
So because the unit has 2 units of 50 models. I mean, the army has 2 units of 50 models, and then some vehicles and stuff. It does have I'm committed to taking the Minotaur. I want to take the Minotaur. For those that don't know, that's a Lord of War, an artillery Lord of War. The difference is the one good thing about it is that it has a 5+ invulnerable save. For some reason, which I forgot about when I played Jonathan Starks. Would have helped with all the fusion blaster shots coming at it, but that's why we practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking that army. I don't know the exact list to Boise Cup. See how I do there. Probably horrible, but that's for right now. We did have a few GTs this last weekend. Mainly TJ Lanigan winning another GT over Jim Vessel.
Yep.
So it looks like Jim maybe. I know he's inching closer. I think he's still number 2, but he's not as far behind.
Who, TJ?
Yeah.
TJ's still number 2. Yeah.
And everyone else, I think that's basically where it's at right now. They're just jostling for 1 and 2 at this point. We still have, in terms of big tournaments, we still have SoCal Open, ATC. I know Jim Vessel's playing in ATC. I'm pretty sure TJ's also.
Yeah, TJ's still he's still like 70-ish points behind Jim.
With ATC, you can make that up.
Yeah.
SoCal, if TJ goes to SoCal Open, you can make that up. Because SoCal right now is at like 200 players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, those are the 2 names that I keep on seeing all the time.
The current top 10 is Jim, TJ, Nanavati, Richard Siegler, John Lennon, Manny Chima?
Yeah, Chima. He's from the UK.
Matthew,
probably Kima.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Matthew Ali. So sorry, dude. I don't know how to pronounce your name. My bad. I feel bad about that. I do, actually. Joe Milam, Andrew Ford. I can pronounce that one, no problem. And 10th is Daniel Hesters. And
I recognize most of those names.
And spaces 3rd through 10th are all in the 900s for points. 1 and 2 are all over 1,000. Yeah. With Jim the only one in 1,100 points.
I don't know, because we don't know the formula for the RTTs and GTs. I don't know how much of an impact. I know it'll have a big impact, so I don't know how much of an impact LVO will have.
Yeah, there's no way of even speculating without knowing what the actual numbers are. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, I think if TJ wins LVO, he wins ITC, but In the past, it used to be if the number one player just got into the top 8, he was guaranteed. Even if he doesn't win LVO, he wins ITC. Now, with the new formula, that may be the case again. Like Jim may just have to get into top 8 or maybe place in top 4.
Yep.
But as we get closer to that, and as the scores become more stratified, we'll have a better idea of what needs to be done.
What does TJ play?
He plays almost the exact same list Jim Vessel does.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Mixed chaos, yeah.
It's mixed chaos.
Is it one of those? Is it an instance of like they both kind of just like? Is this like discovered something amazing at the same time, or is it?
Yeah, I think it was the same time. I don't think because I know Jim played that same army at Dicehammer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but I don't. And I can't recall when TJ did. Speaking of LVO,
it's meaningless. Whoever played it first doesn't matter. I mean, like
it's whoever
No,
plays it.
yeah,
No,
whoever does best. With
I guess. Well, yeah, true. I was just curious if it was like, I don't know. It struck me as an interesting question at the time, and now I'm bored.
You're just trying to stir shit up.
Really? Was I? What? Are you accusing me of yellow journalism?
Segue.
Oh, for God's sake.
There's plenty of other drama to mention.
You don't get to use a term you just learned how to existed.
As human beings, that is literally how we learn languages. It's this. Here's the term. What does it mean, Mom? This. Okay, and then they use it to practice it.
Yes.
Where's the part where they mock you for not knowing it? Because that's what happened earlier.
All of the things I'm not telling you about.
We did that earlier.
For those that weren't here earlier, that's what we Tom learned the term yellow journalism.
Yes. About what? 30 minutes ago? About an hour ago.
Yeah, about an hour ago.
I'm gonna find something you don't know.
The reason
I'm gonna shove it down your damn throat.
The reason I brought it up anyway was because there's been a lot of.
Jeff says TJ has Blight Lords, by the way.
Sure.
Oh, interesting.
So the same but different.
Yeah.
So yes, but actually no.
As long as you've got like a ton of Plague Bears in the list, like.
Yes.
I can't wait for Chaos Knights to play Chaos Knights with Plague Bears.
There we go.
It'd be disgusting all the time.
Yeah, so we've talked about it before in regards to the mob mentality at events.
Rabble.
Yeah, this is an extension of that essentially because recently a website published an article in regards to a game that actually TJ and Jim and not about are at.
And they claimed that they colluded to tie, and they didn't even tie.
Well, from what I heard, they did tie, but it was corrected.
Right.
Or they had inputted a tie, but then it was later corrected.
No, the TO inputted the tie incorrectly.
Yeah, and then it was corrected.
Oh,
and then it was corrected. But
Yeah.
certain websites have to, get the clicks.
You have to spike those bits up.
They gotta bait that click.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of almost being. I mean, they're not the only site that does it. There's other sites.
Why don't you explain yellow journalism just in case there's
Well,
another person out there
he
who's like Tom and didn't know what
Okay.
it was?
All right, so let me know if I just learned it. So let me know if I get it right. Yellow journalism is when you're the president of the United States and you want to fight in a war, but you can't. So then you blow up a ship and then make the newspapers talk about it in exacerbated terms.
That's not what it is.
No.
I'm also really happy.
No.
I'm really, really happy that that was when John's face was on the stream because I get to see his reaction. That's part of the reason.
God. Somebody competent explain what yellow journalism is.
It's basically what we have now, which is what common practice we have now. It was basically sensationalism.
Yeah, it's just being sensational for,
That's basically what I was saying.
No, you weren't. But
I'm building brats. I don't care about anything right now.
But the media, not through the president. It's a term basically from the Spanish, from the 1890s, and it actually what the cause of the Spanish-American War. That's why you mentioned the ship exploding because there's no proof that the Spanish blew up the ship.
Right.
For those conspiracy theorists out there. So what it is basically just that everybody that reads any 40K sites that sees it, there's not just one. There's actually a number of them actually write for one. I don't do it, but
Right.
They like to do it a lot.
Yeah.
So you're saying they just pay your paychecks, but you don't endorse the company policy? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
Yeah.
they pay me the exorbitant amount of $0.
Yeah.
Then why?
For the clicks. But I mean, it's
All about
just
those clicks.
I mean, for me personally, it's just knowing the site and not just taking information as truth, which I think a lot of people should be doing nowadays.
You would think that, the last couple of years would have gotten you to pay more attention to the source of the information and the validity of the information and verify things for yourself. But apparently that's just not true.
I know.
Am I a part of the wave of people that seemingly just believe anything the internet says? No. It's them who are wrong.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
So as much as we like gossip and drama,
Oh yes.
sometimes it's just not there.
Well, and what it really boils down to finish that thought really is just sometimes people just don't want to admit they're an NPC. They're just there. Like, we're all just human beings. We're just here. That's it. No one cares. Let's just watch TV and enjoy our lives as best we can, not kill each other.
Some people are just NPCs. That's correct.
Yeah,
That's a great
especially if you're super. Well, yeah. Apparently, something's kicking in, and now I'm taking a more depressive tone. Either that, or Daniel's been.
Jeff says he goes with The Onion.
Oh, it's alarming how much of that is.
The poor
actually...
Onion, man. The poor Onion can't do anything anymore because everything just sounds like it's an Onion article.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything sounds like satire, and so the poor Onion is probably going to go out of business soon, or just switch over to being legitimate news.
Yeah, that would be like the take of a lifetime, right? Like, because everyone would trust the Onion. You've made us laugh for years, and now we believe you because you said we should. Like, so they even said too, like they're not going to report on. Oh, forget it. No, I'll cut my tangent there.
There you go.
Oh my God, thank you.
Well, actually, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, actually,
actually speaking,
so we have a few. We have actually one at least major GT coming for me anyway.
Boise?
Mm-hmm.
No, Gentleman's GT is this weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Gentleman GT. I think it's like 80 people. 67. All I know is 67 have uploaded their lists. So we're missing a few. We'll see how that goes. But one thing I wanted to discuss for those that we've talked about different aspects of being a judge, and one of the things is prepping for your first GT or even RTT. Everybody has to start somewhere.
As a judge, you mean?
Well, yeah. Why would I prep as a player?
No, I know. I'm just clarifying.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, I'm the stupid one. That's why I'm asking the question.
No,
because
no lies detected.
This is a fascinating topic to me because one day I think anybody will think like, well, maybe what I want to judge, but like you never think about that, the preparation step of, okay, the first GT you're gonna judge. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically what I'm talking is your first time. It's more or less.
Everyone remembers there.
You never forget. You never forget.
Like a virgin.
Hands like a longshoreman.
I don't even remember the first event I did was an RTT. I think it was at we know who this guy is, Dennis, because he used to run a web store out of his garage. And he used to run a tournament.
Legitimate business.
And he used to run tournaments out of his garage. So that was my first event. It wasn't too bad. I mean, in terms of running. I mean, there was only like 8-10 guys, but still.
Did it have like the typical like creeper spray paint on the side? We have door prizes. Like
no. It was a full. I mean, this is like old school web store, eBay store.
Damn.
Bits, GW bits, things like that. And then they clamped down. And so he had to close shop. But I remember running events out of his garage or at other people's houses. This is back before there was no ITC. the only thing we would get from GW were some certificates, things like that, because it would only give the trophies out to like conventions or those plaques, if you remember the plaques, Danny.
Mm-hmm. I do. I
But
always
only
wanted
like
one.
I have 3. I can give you one.
Sweet.
I have extras, Danny. um,
I'm just stolen valor. That shit. That's fun.
Oh, that's awesome. The most niche form of stolen valor.
but so when I was doing that, I don't recall being too nervous about the rules. I was more nervous about just everything, and I still usually am nervous to get everything organized, because the rules I felt I could always just look up or read or whatever. But I was more worried about like the terrain, the tables, players being there, dice, rulers, things like that. Having the book, because back then it was easy enough to have all the books on your own. Nowadays it's a little tougher and more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But and I felt that was more nervous for me, because luckily the guys that would go to those tournaments were kind of laid back. And then, again, this is back like almost like 15 years now. So there was no ITC, there was no like overall ranking system or anything like that. You just played to play. So there was really no pressure to like, I have to win to get my points, so my team can get points, whatever. So I think it was easier for me to ease into judging than it would be maybe today.
Now back then, right? Since like ITC, I remember I started end of 6th, beginning of 7th. ITC really played a role in, making the game kind of even Steven for people to play in and feel like they actually had a shot, and it kind of like try to go against building powerless. So like back then, since that wasn't around, and you were in whatever edition you were in, was it just, oh well, all right, well, you're playing this, you're kind of screwed? Or did tournaments kind of have like house rules? Like, was that kind of like a known thing?
GW encouraged like house rules. Like I remember I did one tournament where there was no MEQs, which is Marines or equivalent. So no chaos.
Oh, wow, interesting.
No chaos, no Marines, no Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves, no Necrons. Back then they were toughness 4,
right,
3 up save. No, so
now they're
it
just
was like
sad.
So it was like Tyranids, Guard. So we Sisters of Battle we allowed because they were only tough 3.
Mm-hmm.
Eldar. So those Tau, and I specifically remember that one because Imperial Guard eventually won that tournament. But they encouraged more of that. Their missions were kind of like the wacky missions that you don't see. I think you see them. You saw them in the latest chapter. Like hey, no invulnerable saves within 6 inches of the objective.
Oh, right, yeah.
That is what the old tournaments missions used to kind of be like.
It's heavy, Doc.
Yeah, this is heavy, Doc, where everybody's variable movement. You move really fast in the beginning, but as the game goes on, you move slower and slower. There's one where you can deep strike a unit every turn. It could be a land raider, it could be whatever you want. Things like that. So
America.
And you didn't know what missions you were going to use. That not like today where all the missions are published. Back then it was like there were like 12, 14 missions, and the tournament just picked 3 out of those, and you didn't know which ones they were going to pick. So it wasn't, like I said, for me it was more the organizational stuff when I was just starting. I don't know what about you, Danny?
Hold on, I mean something real quick.
No, it's fine. I'm sure the sound quality will be retained as you chew through your food and discuss your opinions.
All right.
There you go.
So my first one was at Game Empire, and I think it was I kind of had the apprenticeship a little bit where I kind of just stumbled in. I think it was when we were really starting to have like a kind of big boon in 7th edition. And Travis just needed like help. And so he was like, hey, and this was when I was going to store a ton. So it was like, hey man, I'll take the buy round 1 and I'll help you get like, do all the little stuff. make sure there's enough packets printed, blah blah blah. And from there, it's just whenever Travis couldn't do it, or and then when Travis left, Chuck was uh, like, I need someone to cover this tournament. Hey, Danny, I'll give you what was it? What was the first Horus Heresy box that came out?
Betrayal of Calth.
Yeah, it was like,
Oh yeah.
it was like, I really need someone to cover the tournament. I was like, I'll do it for Betrayal of Calth, and he's like, okay. I was like, there you go. That's like I started.
Nice.
Where I was doing it solo. I mean, I'd done LVO before that, but that was
It's
like
funny
my
because
first
I
truly
actually
solo,
do
like on my own running it.
well, and it's funny because I actually do remember some of my first tournaments and stuff. That's actually how I got to know you, was because you were the judge. And needless to say, as a Tau player in 7th edition, I had a lot of rules questions.
But how were your I guess how were you feeling in terms of like going into it, especially solo, or even LVO? If LVO was your first big,
LVO, I never got to do it like a little GT or something. It was helping. It was assisting at RTTs to LVO.
nice.
Yeah, very sink or swim. It's it's nerve wracking, just because you don't want to ruin someone's day by being wrong, right? So the way I prepped is, yeah, well, sure. The way I prep. Hey, I think my mic just died. Give me a second.
All right. Well,
No
you hear
worries.
now.
Adam, while we wait for Danny to come back, if someone like say wanted to get into judging, or like they wanted to kind of prep for that, how would you like, advise them, or like what advice would you give them to be like, well, if you want to be a judge, this is what you got to do. Just start judging.
I would start with RTTs. It's the easiest way. If you know someone that's running one, let's say you want to run one at your local club or at your store or whatever. You would find someone that actually maybe locally that runs RTTs, and talk to them and maybe ask them if, hey, can I come by and help or watch, or like almost like shadowing someone. And then after that, I would suggest helping. Helping would be what you want to do first.
So kind of being like an assistant judge at I'll help you judge. I'm not going to be the judge for this RTT.
Right. You can answer questions, or at least answer them, and then get whoever's actually the running it to confirm or correct.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in front of the players, but at least fairly quickly, so you can correct them before they move on.
Right.
Yeah. Apprenticeship is the best way.
And then after that, I would just start with an RTT. I mean, usually when you're starting, if you don't have a big group that plays at the store, their tournament should be small to begin with.
Right.
So then you can slowly build up by having a good event in terms of terrain, mats, being a judge, prize support, things like that, and that'll help get people to go to your event. Making sure you don't conflict with other events, so you're not splitting the pool of players, things like that, and that will hopefully get you more attendance. And then as you get more experience, you may want to jump to a larger event, like running one yourself, or if you do it enough, or you do enough of a good job, where someone that runs a larger event locally may want to ask you to help out.
Yeah.
So I asked Mitch from Best in Faction podcast to help out at LVO, because I knew he was already judging, and I've seen him judge before, and I felt like he would be a good fit.
You got what it takes, kid.
I even did the throwing the jersey to the kid move, because we had an extra. He didn't give me a Coke though. He didn't give me or a drink. Actually, he didn't give me anything. I should ask him for a beer. But that's more or less how I would do it, and that's more or less how I learned. It's more or less how, because again, my experience is soccer, so that's more or less how soccer does their advancement. Is you do your thing, you go up a level, but you have someone kind of watch you, and then you're by yourself, and then you take the test, which we don't do here, and then you kind of get the badge once you pass the test and get evaluated. But that's kind of the same thing. You start off small, move your move your way up a little bit, and then
Do a good job. Do a good enough job to get noticed.
Yeah, basically, which is more or less how most people get to do it, or they just do it themselves, and hopefully, and that's more. See, when you do it yourself, that's more of a sink or swim, because you're doing almost everything by yourself or with a helper. Like when I did Battle for LA, I had guys helping, but I didn't have anybody help. I didn't have one person just helping me during the event. I had guys helping set up and stuff, but during the event, I realized I needed at least one more person to help me just run things overall during the course of the weekend. And it didn't have to be a judge. I just needed someone to help. Now they could,
you needed a pair of hands.
Yeah, like if they wanted to judge, that's fine. We can use it as a mentoring thing, but it wasn't a requirement. And it's not always that. You can always help at a large event, see how it goes, and maybe you want to try being a judge next time or build yourself to that. But like Danny said, apprenticeship is how it would probably be the best way I would do it. Sometimes you don't have that option if you're like in a remote location.
Yeah, when you're the only game in town.
In that case, sometimes you just have to take the plunge and either sink or swim, and hopefully you get enough feedback, positive feedback, not just that you suck. That it'll help you grow as a judge.
Well, I think that's a big part of I think judging of, because I remember prepping for LVO because I was my very first one, because I was super like fucking nervous of like, oh man, like I was studying I was studying every codex. I was studying all the FAQs.
I didn't study anything.
I know you did.
Shocking.
But I did. And
is that something you want to announce on air, Adam?
Yeah.
He said it before.
He's fine now.
This is 8th edition. You don't need to study rules. You can just read the rules.
Yeah. It's not like 7th where you had to like
7th you
had
to
study.
For 7th edition LVO, I was like, I had all the FAQs, I had everything, and I was like reading in the car on the way there.
Yeah. Running drills, flashcards,
creating an FAQ specifically for the event. Remember?
Yeah. Took the local community college course on 7th edition rules.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. But for me, what I realized after my first LVO that why I feel like it went relatively well was not because like, oh man, I studied everything, I did that. Because still when I get asked questions, I'd be like, well, do you have your codex? Do you have the rule book? Let's look at it, right? Like which should always be your first instinct as a judge. And I think anyone trying to get into it needs to drill that into them now of like, your first instinct should always be look it up, not what do I know off the top of my head? Because there's just even in 8th edition, there's just too much to know for any person without an eidetic memory.
Well, it also helps.
Like nobody in this hobby, basically.
Yeah.
If you're not a Primarch, look it up.
Pretty much.
There you go.
It also helps for future references for the player, because then they'll know where to look.
Right. Teach them to fish and all that.
That doesn't mean they'll still do it. They may still ask. At least you can say when you go back to that table, didn't I tell you where to look for that?
Yeah.
Why am I here again?
Didn't you ask this last fucking?
And now you can just yellow card people for that.
Yeah, here's your yellow card.
But the thing that helped me the most, which is what I think the apprenticeship is the best at, is actually how to enter into essentially conflict negotiation.
Yeah.
Right. Like and resolution. It's just the reality of it takes a certain kind of personality to be a good judge, someone who doesn't get easily riled up, who's not easily persuaded by force of personality, someone who can back up and just try to think from a broader perspective rather than just the microcosm of these two people.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, teaching is what trained me to do that more than anything else. And then, but I can see if you're not in an occupation that kind of, if you want to be good at it, forces you to do that, then the apprenticeship, I think, is important. So you need someone who's done it for a while, who's good at it, who can tell you, like, no, that's the right answer, but maybe next time that happens, you want to do this instead, right?
So you can, shadow them and watch how they
deal with how they deal with one player who's clearly agitated and one who's not, right? Like,
Yeah, dealing
with it's managing people.
Everybody does in their job. Like some jobs just don't require that necessarily, or like, or conflict resolution skills aren't necessarily something everybody needs.
Or it's not the same kind of conflict resolution skills that would be useful, right? Because if you're like, oh, well, I'm in like private security. It's like your conflict resolution's a little different than what you need here.
Yes.
John, what was your first RTT or was that the
I played
store?
in? My first RTT I ever played in was Game Empire.
No, not played, but judged.
Judged. The first thing I ever judged was OVO. Well, other than
Really?
leagues, yeah. I ran tons of leagues at the store for years. So I mean, I was the judge at the leagues.
Okay.
Because when I was running the leagues, the tournaments I would play in the tournaments because the tournaments were all run by Travis. So I ran the leagues.
Whoa.
You became like Doom mode just then.
Yeah, I got a message from Jeff on the chat that my levels were too low.
Yeah, well, now my ears hurt.
Well, you know what? The voice of God needs to be heard. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Hey, you just soft pitched it and I hit it out of the park. What do you
They
want
can
from
hear
me?
me fine. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
I didn't pitch shit. You just were like, and self gratification. It commences in 3.
Anyways, yeah. So I would judge the I was the rules judge for the leagues, the 40K leagues, and then but my first tournament was the first LVO I did.
Yeah, because I know you came on after me and Danny, right?
Yes, I was the year after that.
And you just that was still 7th edition. And you just prepped by
The last one of 7th edition was my first one.
Yeah, I think we started in 14, right? 2014, Adam?
No. We started in 16.
Was it 16?
14 was like the first
I-
LVO, and I played in that.
Oh,
14 was the
15,
first
yeah.
one that John went. I went to the second one, and then we started.
That's
we
it is the
started
third one,
judging the
16.
third one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't forever ago.
And now it sells out in a day. 800 ticket.
Yeah.
just like that.
Should have bet Reese money.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, where's my meme? The shocked Pikachu meme from last year.
Yeah. It's coming back.
Just wait till next year when we're in a bigger space and we can do 1,000.
How about we just cap it at 800?
How about we go back to 125, like the original size?
Oh man, there's no going back to that. You can't do that.
There's no going back.
You can't go back to that. That's just not gonna happen. Not at all.
Oh my god, too funny.
All
Oh
right.
my god. So yeah, that's more or less how our first time, because we're talking about our first time, John. That's why
Yeah.
it came up.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody remembers their first. Even 20 years later.
I remember running my first league was an experience.
Oh my god! Now you have to tell us what happened.
It was just like I was super like I got to get into the store and like update the leaderboard because it was always like the leaderboard was only in the store, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to update the leaderboard in the store, and I had to do it with like expo markers and these magnets, and like it was a ladder, and then like I was like obsessive about it, and then I was like, okay, so now I've got to also do updates online. So I started doing it on the Yahoo group, which tells you how long ago this was. So yeah, it was just an experience to be like, oh man, I got to do all this stuff, and then like, oh, I can make this easier with technology.
We have the technology.
Yeah, that was 4th edition when I started to run the leagues. The end of 4th.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been doing it. For a while.
GeoCities was not a thing anymore. Airborne. Well, I wasn't that old.
I never
had a GeoCities actually. I'm not old enough for that.
I did.
I did, and I ran a GeoCities BattleTech play-by-email game.
Dear God.
Well, we're
And
done
it
for
was
the night.
glorious.
Good night, everybody. I'm putting this to bed. Somebody's gonna put the old man out of his misery.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my. That's
That's about
a
as, like-
blast. Good grief.
Why would
That's about as-
you ever admit to that on the internet to the
No, man,
public?
that's like genuine nerd cred, man. That's like deep tech, like fucking old salt veteran shit.
I mean,
Definition
I
of
back-
nerd cred is distinctly different than mine.
I have played diplomacy over email.
Airborne 248 says, was that after your play-by-mail D&D first edition campaign?
Oh my God.
I'm not going to answer that.
Oh Lord.
But moving on.
Yes, please move on. Let's put this thing to rest for real.
So I mentioned gentlemen's and ladies GT is this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, Jeff Robinson actually has a new list.
Mm-hmm.
That Austin Wingfield, is it Wingfield? I think it's Wingfield. Won a GT with this past weekend. A similar list. So we'll see how that plays out this weekend. Reese will be there. Frankie will be there. Pablo, Don Houston will be there. I don't know if he'll be there with his new list, which includes Vindicators.
Oh my god.
But
Stop playing jank.
we'll see.
He's the king of jank, man. Like you gotta let him do it. You gotta let him do it.
Thank you, Jeff. for your
Birds gotta
support.
fly.
I'm thinking nobody.
So we'll see how that goes this weekend. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'll be TOing with Anthony Diamore, who's a relatively new TO. So this will be I believe his first major. I know he's done a tournament before, and hopefully it'll be a good experience for him.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine.
There's no way to unjank Vindicators. Someone tell Don Houston that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. The T8. They got to be great.
I changed the speed on the memes. Sorry. I'm getting a complaint that he can't read them because they're too fast. I'll make sure I do that next episode.
Well, what people forget is that at the saltier you get, the faster the memes go to reflect your inner burning anger as it rises to the fore.
True.
So
that was
I'm
all
actually
I got from you. Damn,
I'm actually looking forward to that. Should be fun. It's in Vegas again, so
Yeah.
Vegas is always fun.
Yeah, it's hard to not associate Vegas now in my head with anything but 40K.
Not 40K or porn.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Porn award shows.
Well, that's the thing. That's exists
Hey, the
everywhere.
one year
so
the
I'm just
LVO
not-
was the same year as the
as the
Yeah.
AVN
AVN,
Awards.
yeah.
It was glorious.
That was fun.
No, that was also wasn't that also the same year AVN and the Shot Expo were the same weekend?
Probably.
Yeah, because
I
it was
think
just
that was it,
hilarious. Yeah, because it was hilarious coming. That's a year I flew, and as I'm coming into through the airport, the Vegas airport, there's all these signs everywhere of remember, Nevada gun laws may not, are not necessarily the same as other states. Please read here.
Yeah, right.
It's the best.
Let's see. Damage 8185 wants to know if a Porphyrion could be fun to play since the Castellan got a points hike. It's just not as good. I used
John
the
tried it.
Porphyrion and then I sold it.
Mhm.
It's just not as good.
It's great
Even
at
at
killing
700
other knights.
yes.
That's about it.
Even at 708 points, the Castellan is still worth it.
Yeah, it's
It's
still,
still worth it.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem taking it.
Or two.
No,
No, two's bad.
no. I
We already
proved.
we've
I
already
tested
established
it.
that.
We proved it. I'm happy to have been wrong. But two Castellans is not good. Not by any stretch of the imagination. So
So we're actually we're short on time for tonight, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. But a couple things before we go. Again, I'll be at Gentleman's GT this weekend.
mhm.
I'll also be at Boise Cup, actually playing my jank list, going for the wooden spoon apparently.
Yay.
Tom, are you playing any events this weekend, or are you always on baby duty?
Yeah, no. RTTs have been harder for me to get to. I think the most major thing I know of is SoCal. I'm definitely going to that.
Okay.
I might be able to hit up an RTT in between then.
Okay.
Maybe
So
two.
we'll check July. If you're not going July, then do the night challenge in July.
Yeah. Or if we're
Danny?
both going, we can figure out what
No, you can do it because I'll go to all the RTTs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
because I have to practically run them.
Hey.
John,
Yep.
you're on hiatus until
Probably till September.
okay. We going to
Yeah.
SoCal?
I'm gonna try to, but I don't know. I can't guarantee that weekend yet.
Okay.
But
Danny?
I'll probably play the September RT at least.
RT.
Yeah,
So
so I
you'll
can
take
use the
you'll
nights.
take the nights of
then.
that one.
Mhm.
Just concede all your games. You'll be fine.
No,
Danny,
I have integrity.
Uh-huh.
Danny, you going to SoCal?
I'm
Right.
going to try. I haven't yet to go. I'm really, really gonna try. It's just it depends on my wife's work schedule because I think that's around the same time she has like a class trip or something. So I have to make sure that she's actually around.
Yeah.
All right. I said,
but I'll be doing Hammer.
Oh, that's right, Hammer Wrath. We'll mention that real quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Depending, I might be able to swing Hammer too, actually. But if there's still tickets,
You know, John's not going because John
be
is not a
gone.
team player.
No,
I
he
will
doesn't
not be in
establish
Europe
this.
for Slaughterfest or Hammer because I will be in Europe, and
Because
I'm happy to be doing that instead.
Because he is not a team player
Yep.
and he has
He
no
does not.
tech.
Don't care.
He does not love this podcast.
I feel like being in Europe is code for I'll be playing historicals and not telling anyone.
No.
Oh,
I will be posting.
Wow.
I will be posting
Wow.
plenty of pictures straight to
Those
your
are
wall
fighting
to rub it
words.
in your face that I'm there and you're not, Tom.
Plenty of
Wow.
pictures from the internet.
I have
was-
all of the fake news
Photoshop.
responses ready.
Mhm, mhm.
deep fake, deep
Mhm.
fake.
I'm gonna take a selfie with the Pope.
As long as his hands are up.
Yeah, do you think he does the
Um,
Keanu where he puts his hands out so he doesn't look like he's groping
So
people?
nobody can. At this point, I would say yes.
I mean, I feel like they kind of have to at this point. You know, like they don't really have a choice.
That's what we're going to end the show on, I guess.
I'm cool with that.
Pope bashing.
I wasn't
Yeah, the
bashing him. I
anti-
was simply asking you a legitimate question.
No, but see, now we're going
everyone's
back into
disappointed
history.
in me.
It's like
We're doing Renegades and
Where-
Heretics.
we're not we ain't no papist podcast.
Real Pope lives in France.
Wow.
Avignon.
We're going back 1330s. The Avignon papacy.
So Airborne is disappointed in me taking Renegades and Heretics. Well, you know what? The more I play this army, the more I'm disappointed
You
in
know
myself.
what? Everybody's disappointed in Adam, including Adam, and that's the way we like it.
Yes.
Isn't that the happiest ending we could ever get?
Yes.
I haven't told my wife yet, so she's not disappointed. Not yet. She's disappointed in me in other ways.
Yes.
Don't forget, Slaughterfest actually has a few tickets left. I think it's under 10 at this point.
Yeah. This can be a good one.
Veteran Gamers Reenlisted. Go to, I think it's VGRpodcast.com, and there's a link there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be judging that one too. So I'll be at the Pachanga Resort and Casino.
It's not Pachanga.
And then, whatever. Pachanga, tomato.
Damn.
And then
Racist.
then we have ours. Right. We have our Hammer Wrath GT in August. Tickets are available for that. The swag bags are spoken for. More importantly, the grand prize
He's stroking out on us again.
is
We're not that lucky.
no, I was just reading the comments. The grand prize which includes a ticket to the Champs, which is sold out,
Mm-hmm.
but it also includes the LVO High Roller package. So if you win the event, you win the Champs ticket and the High Roller package.
For those who don't understand, getting the high roller package essentially is getting hundreds of dollars worth of free swag of games and different things, and also having the chance to always get that again because high roller includes pre-registration for the next LVO.
Right.
Oh, I'm glad we're bringing economic elitism into 40K as well.
Yeah.
Shut up, white privilege.
Oh, wow.
This is the second time today you've accused me as white privilege as a white man.
And both times I've used it correctly.
I just like to point out
I
that
explained it earlier.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? The white people are arguing about racism, and everybody else is like, okay, well, we're just going to go do our thing now.
Everybody else is like, it's 2019. Why does it always have to be about race with you white people?
We know nothing else.
On that happy note,
Yeah, seriously.
good night,
Jesus.
everybody, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
God damn.
All right.
Good night.
See you later.